Hey, John.
He's muted.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
That's better, John.
I say some of the most profound things when I'm muted.
I can read lips, John, so I appreciate how profound they are.
Good try. Good try, John.
It just gets lost to eternity.
One more minute.
What happened to the beard?
Who's mine?
Dave's?
Gone. I bet Dave Porter's wife's had a comment. That's all.
Who made you do it?
It's Christmas picture time, so. Okay. That's a good excuse. Yeah.
Could have been a young Santa Claus.
Taking one before and one after.
Yeah. And I need some more gray hairs to fill it in for Santa Claus duties. Okay.
All right.
Steve, you still with us?
I'm still with you. I'm trying to get everything set up, and I think it is now.
Okay. Do you want to read the
share my
instructions?
screen here. I'm sorry, what did you say?
You want to read the instructions as it relates to?
I can.
Okay.
Tonight's meeting is a Zoom meeting. We will be taking public comment one of actually 3 ways this evening. The lockbox was checked earlier. There was no public comment. By raising your hand while on the Zoom meeting, you will be recognized. By using the phone in option, there's a way to be recognized doing that by raising your hand. And then finally, if you wish to send an email message to publiccomment@newtowntownship.org, again, publiccomment@newtowntownship.org, you can send an email message or a public comment message that way. If by chance you're having trouble raising your hand or getting your hand raised by either being virtual or through the phone, you can also send a message to public comment and we would recognize that. Just ask that if you do that, please do so in such a way that we can recognize who you are. So if you have a phone number, please let us know which phone number you called in on so that we can recognize you that way. I do see a hand raised. We're not taking public comment right this moment. We'll take public comment down on under line number 8. And so as soon as we get there, I'll recognize you for that. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you.
Being recorded too, by the way.
I would like to call the Newtown Township Municipal Authority meeting for November the 16th, 2020 to order. Roll call. John Weaver.
Here.
Tom Smith.
Here.
Mark Kay.
Here.
Maria Kane. Not here. Operations Manager Stephen Neese.
Here.
Counsel J. Michael Sheridan.
Here.
Engineer Mr. David Porter.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, let's take a moment of silence to remember the veterans and celebrate the Veterans Day.
That was not intelligible what you just said.
Yeah, I thought it was mine. You hear me okay, John?
Yes.
I hear you, Tom.
Okay, yeah, it must be
I think it's Joe that's freezing up.
saying something
Yeah,
brilliant.
He's frozen on my side too.
I'm going to call him. In case he's not aware.
He's holding the whole meeting right now. He's doing all the great work.
Yeah.
No one can understand it.
Some more profound statements.
Is he frozen?
He looks frozen. Hey, Joe, you there?
Yes.
I can't communicate. Something happened. It says low system resources may affect audio. I'm off.
How about coming in on your phone?
Sheridan, you're still unmuted, just so you know.
Yeah, we can hear you guys.
Not coming through.
Welcome to 2020.
Yeah.
At least.
I just say when the vaccine news came out, and I saw that Zoom stock price was plummeting, I had to admit I chuckled, thinking that that was a good thing.
And now you're on it.
John,
Yeah. So tired of these things.
Well, they don't have any security. That's their problem. They finally got
Yeah.
recognized for that.
Yeah.
I mean, all these video conferences, I think I was on a video calls for 5 hours straight today. I'm thinking, I don't watch television that. I've never watched a movie that long. I feel like it's ridiculous.
It's the life we're in. It's getting worse. That's when my company's coming out with a product.
The internet, I realized it could change.
So speaking with Joe, his computer froze up. Right now, he's shutting it down and restarting in hopes that that's the universal solution to any computer problems.
Yep, usually is. Turn it off, put it back on.
Yeah.
who's
I
our
can connect
next?
to Zoom now.
Who's our next?
So he's back on and connecting to Zoom. He's hopefully.
Who's our next officer? There's Joe.
Thought I can hear him now.
Don't speak too fast.
You mean who's the vice chair?
Yep.
Maria.
Okay. You hear me now?
Mike, you may have to turn or do something with your phone. I think you still have him on there, don't you? Joe, can you say something?
You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Gotcha.
Yes.
All right, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. My system just threw me off. I don't know what happened. So do we have a motion to approve the agenda as submitted for tonight's meeting?
Motion to improve it. Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the November 2nd, 2020 meeting as submitted?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you.
Stephen, Maria's trying to get into the meeting.
Maria is? Okay.
Who is she coming in as?
Who is
Yeah.
coming as Marie?
Rachel.
No, as you?
I don't see
Yeah.
her.
He doesn't see you in the waiting room. The person with the hand wave.
Person with James Molnley.
No. Is it? Yep. That's a Zoom account at his office, at her office.
That is? Okay. Then I will promote her over.
There we go. All right, you're in, hopefully.
Apologize, I didn't realize,
Bye.
that didn't recognize that name.
Maria, you with us?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here and I'll change my name.
Okay. Let the record show that Maria Kane is on the meeting.
I've been here from the beginning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, announcements. We have no announcements. Public comment. Do we have any public comment?
I do have a hand raised. I'm going to allow them to talk. It's Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, yeah, if you unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Lawrence Miller. How is everybody doing tonight?
right?
Very good.
As
Thank you.
well as we
Please.
can. Thank you. Yeah. I guess my question is mostly for Mr. Porter. I'm a resident of Florida Park, 4416 Fairview. We've exchanged a couple emails, Mr. Porter, also with my spouse, Megan, about in the aftermath of the sewer project, getting our fence replaced, which was taken down, as well as our driveway replaced, which was the home of heavy equipment for several months. So I'm hoping that we could do that before winter happens again. If there's something else I need to do in order to make that happen, I am happy to try to do that, but I'd like to know what the next step is, please.
Dave,
Okay,
can you address that, please?
Yes, my last correspondence with Megan was probably a couple of months ago. I did make the comment that our punch list did include all of, or I was adding at that time, I was adding all of your issues, your site issues to our punch list for restoration. We do know that you have a portion of your driveway that needs to be restored. And your fence, and I believe we did stake the property boundary for you guys.
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So
and thank you for that.
Yep, sure. So we will, I'll get in touch with our contractor this week. I do have a meeting with him at another property, and I'll get you an update as far as schedule. I do know that we were trying to wrap up the other side of the project, the Ashford contract. So they've devoted a lot of resources to that side of the project. I'll see what their timing and schedule is for the Camelot side of the project and see, where they are with addressing your issue specifically.
Okay, thank you. As a potential stopgap, last winter was pretty tough with trying to drive on mud, and while we don't really have anywhere to go this year, we still have to get groceries. So if we're not going to be gotten to until spring, maybe they could drop down some gravel or something just so we can get in and out of the driveway.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it, and I will just listen and remute myself. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there any other public comments, Steve?
1 second. I see no other public comment.
Okay, payments, 9.1. Make a motion, we consider approving the bills on check register dated November 16, 2020, totaling $27,858.02. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 9.2, I make a motion, we consider approving payments from the bonds totaling $15,685 to Hunters Run Homeowners Association for the restoration expense associated with the 537 public sewer project build out to restore areas that were damaged during the construction work. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any questions or comments?
Joe, just as you recall, at our meeting 2 weeks ago, this was discussed. It's to be clear that the work that's being performed is landscaping work, replacement of plants and restoration, but not of the grassy areas that were damaged or affected by the work that was performed by JO. I had communications with Dave today. Dave, you may want to comment as part of your follow-up to what was discussed at the last meeting.
Sure. So my follow-up to the last meeting was I went out to the project site and walked the entire site. There's 2 easements out in Hunters Run. One is the upper easement, which is closer to Bishop Hollow Road. The other is a lower easement. So there was 2 on-lot disposal systems that our contractor had to access and kind of decommission to take those offline to connect them to public sewer. So the lower easement area, I believe, is the one that the Homeowners Association is concerned about. The upper easement area, in my opinion, is completely stabilized, revegetated. The grass looks fantastic up there. I did talk with Dave Chilson at J.O. and Bradley today about the lower easement area. Their intention is to do any further restoration in the spring of the year for that lower area basically because of the time of year. But they did want to reiterate that, they don't feel that they should be obligated to restore any areas that are disturbed by the HOA's contractor, which I did reiterate that was the authority's conversation and agreement as well at the last meeting. So Fran Marabella at the HOA had requested to meet out at the site. I've been trying to get some availability from our contractor. So Mike, I know you had correspondence with Fran. I'm available at any point in time to go out and meet with him. Again, my inclination is that he's concerned with the lower area. So we're looking at, based on my site reconnaissance and takeoff, we're looking at about a 1/4 acre of area that needs to be more or less freshened up. I mean, there's vegetation there. It just doesn't look as well established as the upper easement area. So that would remain on our punch list to address until it's taken care of. So the concern obviously is the timing of when the homeowners association's contractor goes out to either disturb or redisturb those areas, which our contractor doesn't feel that they would be obligated to address after the fact.
Well, you use the term vegetation that
Yes.
is not restored in a certain area to your satisfaction as the engineer
Correct.
overseeing the project. Is that vegetation grass or is it
Yes.
involve other plantings?
No, it's grass.
Okay, so I would respectfully suggest, if not waiting for JO, but go out yourself and talk to Fran Marabella,
Okay,
because you will ultimately decide that issue anyway,
sure.
and just make sure that they appreciate what it is. So it's very clear before we give them this money, what it's being used for and what it's not being used for, both from their point of view and our point of view.
Okay.
Do we have this memorialized in any type of written understanding among the parties?
I prepared an agreement because it involved a waiver and a release of our restoration obligations. And my understanding had been that it would be a total release, and I drafted it that way. When I presented it to Mr. Marabella, that's when he got back to me and says, no, the presentation was that it would only be for plantings, not for anything doing with grass that was disturbed by the work that was performed. So that's when I reported back to the board 2 weeks ago. And the plan was for Dave to go out with somebody from JO and confirm that everybody's on the same page as to what the grass area is that's being excluded from the work that the homeowners association is taking on and being reimbursed for by the authority. So the agreement's got to be redrafted to reflect that. But given the misunderstanding as to what it encompassed, I think it's once Dave gets out there and provides me some way to define it by description or by location, so it's clear to be put into the agreement what is and is not included in this payment.
Okay, at this time, then I'd like to withdraw this motion until our engineer has done a site reconnaissance with the representatives from Hunters Run. And at that time, once that is established, then we can have council redraft the document to reflect the mutual understanding of our engineer who represents the authority, the homeowners association of Hunters Run, and to also include Joe and Bradley. And if we can get it done between now and the next meeting in 2 weeks, then we can bring this back for the board to approve it in 2 weeks. Does anybody have any issues with that?
Nope.
No.
No, I
Okay.
do have a question for Mike real quick. Do we have at least a meeting of the minds with the homeowners association that they'll sign off on this?
After our meeting, it seemed as though it was following our meeting of 2 weeks ago. that it was agreed that the grass disturbed during the work is not to be included in the payment. So in that general sense, and they agree to that, we agree to that. Now we need to be sure we define that, because there are some areas that may be disturbed by the work. It's the guy that's coming in to do the work for this landscaping remediation. And J.O. rightfully so doesn't want to have somebody coming back on him and saying, you got to come back and restore some more grass.
Yeah, I just want to see how close we were to actually, that just a description and papering should suffice at the moment. It sounds like, and we should be able to wrap this up next meeting.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I think Tom, I think we're at that point almost. We just want to make sure that their understanding of the grassland and our understanding is the same thing.
Yep. Got it.
And clarify that the ground that we've already reclaimed for them, if that is disturbed by their contractor, that it's on them to fix it. Don't come back to us later and say, oh, by the way. That's all. Okay? Anybody else have any questions on this issue?
No.
Okay. Engineers report. Mr. Porter.
Okay, it'll be brief since it's only been a couple of weeks. We've covered the Hunters Run HOA, the dam breach project. They've poured the concrete encasement over the pipe. I saw 3-day break strength test results, which appeared to be pretty good. I'm waiting on the 7-day break results. Once those 7-day break results meet a certain percentage of the overall strength of the concrete, they'll be in good shape to close that project out. As far as, the remaining restoration is concerned, we'll have to take a look at that as well. But the major portion of the project will be concluded. I did have a conversation with Dunwoody Village's engineer. They're currently working on a separate gathering pavilion project on site, which doesn't have anything to do with sanitary sewers, but that engineer reached out to follow up with me on the grinder pump review, and I explained to him what I explained to the authority at the last meeting, that we're working on review of the water usage records and communicating with the director of facilities at Dunwoody with regard to the required escrow and the amount that we feel would be necessary to close out that project. I did let them know that they have to file a permit since they are modifying their lateral connection to the authority's public sewer, which is standard practice. It's just a matter of them filling out the paperwork. And that concludes the engineer's report for this evening.
Anybody have any questions of the engineer? No? Okay. Old business? I have none at this time. Does anybody have any old business they want to bring up? Okay, new business. Well, go ahead, Mark. Did you say something?
No, I just said no, that's all.
Okay. New business 12.1. Ellis Preserve Phase II residential. The developer Equus has submitted a sewer agreement for our review and approval. Council has gone through it. Council has reviewed it in detail. In a brief summary, Equus is planning to build a second phase of a multifamily development on the Ellis Preserve. I believe it's 200 units in a 3 5-story buildings or 3 4-story buildings, along with the group. Is that right, Dave? You're making, is that?
It's a single building. It's a 5-story apartment building with 200 units and a clubhouse, which is basically 2 EDUs. And 63 townhouses. 63
townhouses. Okay. So it's 1 5-story building, a clubhouse, and 63 townhouses on the perimeter, I guess, of the site. So this will be the first part of what they're calling Ellis Preserve Phase II long-term development plan, which is the remainder of what they have zoned for approval. Council, do you want to jump in here and let us know that you've reviewed it, what your comments are?
Yes, I have. I've reviewed it. I've made some revisions to it. My revisions were approved by the Greg Edelman, attorney for Equus. in terms of the residential development that's been approved by the township that's going forward in phase 2, there's 63 townhouses in addition to the 200 apartments. Those will be developed at a later time. So in that agreement, as we've done in previous instances, the capacity is being reserved by Equus for that development, portion of the development. And they're paying the $500 reservation fee, which will serve as a credit against the tapping fee that's in effect at the time they go to draw their permits when they develop the 63 townhomes. So they're not being developed consecutively. One is paying up front for the total amount of the EDUs that are required at the current tapping fee rate that are required for the 200 apartments, and as Dave said, the 2 EDUs for the clubhouse. And then they're paying the reservation fee of $500 per each of the 63 townhomes, pending its ultimate development.
Okay.
And they're also posting that, as it happens every time, they have to come up with an estimate of the probable cost of this project and post an escrow. And David has reviewed, they prepared that. I provided to folks, although it was late this afternoon. And David has reviewed and approved that. So that's being attached as an exhibit. And obviously they have to get all the other approvals required. What if they need a PennDOT, they need the DEP, all those different requirements have to be satisfied.
My understanding is, and David, you can correct me, they do have CDCA approval?
You're on mute, Dave.
You're muted.
Mute, Dave.
I'm sorry, they do have their capacity certifications. They are working on their sewage planning exemption from the DEP at this point in time.
Right.
And I just wanted to make one other point. Technically speaking, typically the developer will offer for dedication the sanitary sewer system within their development to the authority. In this case, there's specific language in the agreement that the developer will continue to own, operate, and maintain the sanitary sewers within the development, basically due to the extreme depth of the lines within the development. So, and they've agreed to do that.
Okay. Okay.
Great.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the sewer agreement for the Ellis Preserve Phase II residential development. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second the motion.
Are there any questions or comments for either our engineer or our council?
I have a question. I'm just wondering about these 63 townhomes, which are going to be developed in the future, and this agreement kind of being, in effect for potentially quite some time. Mike, is it advisable in any way that we put a time limit on that we're holding in reserve this capacity? Should something happen down the road and they don't end up developing the 63?
It seems very clear that this is going to be developed. But if you want that, it's not unreasonable to request it. And it could be included. I've seen them previously where if steps aren't taken towards development within 2 years, then at that point, either the reservation fee goes up or it's refunded and the reservation of capacity is gone.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, either refunding it or, yeah. So I think that makes sense.
Can I ask why? I'm just curious why. I mean, if they're putting up the money today and we're going to hold the 500 today for a reservation, whether they develop it in 12, 18, 24, or 36 months, as long as they put the money up and we have the capacity, why would we revoke the reservation?
I'm just thinking about some kind of almost a force majeure kind of event, like the pandemic or some other economic event that prevents them from developing those 63. I'm just living in the world of the what if here.
I understand it, but if we do that, then we have to refund the money that they've given us, right?
Right. That's
so if we keep it outstanding and we extend it, regardless of what the market conditions are, whether there's a pandemic or some other economic condition slows their development down, as long as the capacity is there and they're committed, I mean, they've already, provided the money up front in good faith deposit. My inclination was, why do we put a gun to their head to move forward or not? And then the end result is we have to refund the money.
I mean,
What if the pricing could go up as well? So maybe we.
Yeah, but we're only charging 500. I mean, the pricing of the tap-in fee, if it goes up to 668, or we increase it over the next couple of years, they're obligated to pay the increased tap-in fee.
correct.
Are they, Mike? Are they,
Yeah.
Mike? If,
That was one of the revisions that I made.
okay.
that
Yeah, we already made that revision.
At the time they draw permits, whatever the tapping fee is at that time that's been adopted by the authority, that's what they have to pay. And they've agreed to that, obviously, and appropriately. The situation that you raised, Maria, in my experience, has typically been when there's a concern that there's not enough capacity within a system.
Okay.
So, and I don't know that we're concerned about that at this time, or will be for the foreseeable future. And so you get the money and get the commitment while you can for that capacity. And it also helps with planning.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well,
Are there any other
it.
questions, Maria? Anything else, Maria?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions on the issue? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Who
I'll
was the
abstain.
third? Who was the third aye?
Aye.
John Weaver?
I'm an aye.
Okay. Tom Smith?
Aye.
Okay. And Maria, you abstain?
I abstain, yeah.
Okay. And I vote aye. So it's 4 members voted aye and 1 abstention. Okay. Thank
Mr.
you
Chairman.
all. Yes, sir.
If I may, I shared an email with or actually Suzanne on my behalf has shared an email with the entire board about an issue of a waiver for me to continue to serve in the position I'm serving for you, due to the fact that from time to time I come into an issue of conflict between the 2 boards. And in it, it talks about the fact that I would maintain administrative functions, but I would not be involved in your private deliberations. And so I just wanted to make sure that everybody had received that this afternoon, and make you aware of that. I understand that you may need some time to think about that, but I needed to put you on notice in that I could be in a position of conflict. And as the township manager, I need to serve the township in that way.
Thank you. Yes, I did receive it. I have not had an opportunity to look at it yet. I don't know if any other board members have, but what I would suggest is everyone take a look at it, and we can discuss it at the next meeting, and council can get an opportunity to look at it as well and guide us as to the appropriate course of action.
Sounds
Everybody
good.
agree?
Yes.
Agreed.
Is it for Steve's benefit? Is it, since we won't be meeting for a couple weeks, is the board satisfied with maintaining the status quo pending that? So to give him a comfort level.
I don't have a problem with it between now and 2 weeks from now, is to maintain the status quo.
Yep.
Why don't you put that to a motion and vote again?
I'll make a motion that we have Mr. Neese as our operations manager maintain the status quo, recognizing that he has submitted a letter with potential conflict of interest, but at this time we can maintain the status quo while the board members review the letter and discuss it with council, and we'll discuss it at the next meeting. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, if there's no other business, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Just in time, the internet's killing us. All right.
Have a good one,
Good
everyone.
night.
Happy
Take care.
Thanksgiving, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.